I don't know how you can't like this one, but that's just my opinion. So what's up everyone, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Mariah if you are new here, and today for my video I'm going to be rating from my least favorite to my most favorite the songs from Tickets to My Downfall by Machine Gun Kelly. So a lot of people do reaction videos when new songs or new album drops. I did do a reaction video to a couple singles in my last video, but this time I thought, since so many people are going to be listening to the songs right now and doing reactions, I would put a fun twist on it. So instead, I'm going to go through each song and rate the song on a couple different factors and then assign each song a score. So the first thing I'm going to rate on is lyrics or story. So I included story in there because sometimes the lyrics might be more minimal or basic, but the storyline itself is usually fun. So lyrics and story is one category. The next category is memorability. So after listening to it, one or two times, which song is stuck in my head all day? Which song do I remember? And I know, oh, I want to go back and listen to that one. Or, yeah, I remember, that was one of my favorites. And then the third category is just going to be overall vibe. So how do I feel when I'm listening to it? Does it make me feel something, stir up any emotions? Is it just a song that I want to listen to over and over again? So I'm going to give a score for each of those categories and then give each song a score. And at the end, we'll have a leaderboard and kind of show overall which song rated the highest and which song rated the lowest. Now, let me just preface this also by saying my favorite song is probably not your favorite song. I know a little bit from what I've seen on Twitter, I'm already guessing some of the songs that other people like aren't necessarily the ones I like the best. So just keep that in mind. This is not actually rating the best and the worst song on the album. It's just rating my favorites and which ones I like the best. So we're just gonna go straight from the beginning of the album to the end, and I will insert a little graphic here showing the score that I am giving each song, and then we'll keep our leaderboard updated as we go through the video. Make sure you tell me below which song is your favorite. So I am creating this video assuming you have already listened to the album. However, I will insert like maybe a 3 to 10 second clip of the song just to jog your memory of which one I'm talking about, but otherwise make sure you go listen to the album first before watching this. I did also want to mention that these ratings are based off of like my first, second, and third listen, so there are a few songs that I have continued to listen to more than others, but this was pretty much like my first impression, or after listening to each song at least twice, this is the rating I gave them. My favorite songs usually change over time, so my hard copy album should be coming in my mail any day now, and so once I get it, I'm gonna of course put it in my car, kind of listen to it on repeat. That's usually what I do when I get new CDs, new albums, but for now this is just based off of a couple listens, so I'm sure my opinions could change over time too. So let's start with title track.
I sold some tickets to come see my downfall. It sold out in minutes. I saw friends in the front row.
It's clearly referring to what the album's called, Tickets to My Downfall. And so for this song, I rated the lyrics 6. I rated the memorability a 7 because I think it's the opening track, it's something you're gonna remember. And then for overall vibe, I gave it an 8. So the total score is a 21. Of course, the highest is a 30. So just a couple things that I noted from this track. I was surprised at first how it kind of started off slow. My very first impression was, oh, this is an interesting choice for the first song of the album, because it was kind of starting off slow. To my surprise, that tempo picked up pretty quickly. I did know a couple of memorable lyrics that I felt really made the song stick out. Of course, the opening, I sold some tickets to come see my downfall. It sold out in minutes. I saw friends in the front row. Of course, he has already mentioned before this whole album, and the title referring to, when things are going well, it doesn't seem like people are paying attention, but when you have that downfall, you have something going wrong, your life's spiraling, that's when people are paying attention. So it's nice he kind of just started the album off with that right away, saying, this is Tickets to My Downfall. I also noted in the chorus, I use a razor to take off the edge, jump off the ledge, they say. I like that. I think the chorus is super catchy. I did like that tempo change throughout, how it started off slow, and then at the end, it kind of trailed off again. So I thought it was a good opening track. I rated it to 21. I like it. You know, I wasn't like, oh wow, this is the greatest song ever, but for the opening track, I thought it was really nice. So now we are moving on to the second song, Kiss Kiss.
Okay, kiss, 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 bottle all night, kiss, kiss.
So for the second song, Kiss Kiss, I gave the lyrics and story a 5. Memorability, I gave it a 6. And overall vibe, I gave it a 7. So I did like the song. None of the lyrics like really stuck out to me, but that doesn't mean that I didn't like the actual way the song flowed. Of course, this whole album being like a pop punk album, I'm gonna like every song because that's one of my favorite genres. But overall, I didn't necessarily feel anything special from this song the first 1 or 2 listens, so I gave it an overall score of an 18. And the song itself does seem like a fun song, you know, kind of just talking about partying, getting drunk. So overall, I mean, it's supposed to be like a fun album, not necessarily covering so many deep topics. So I'm definitely not like knocking him for that or anything, but just overall not one of my favorites. So I rated this an 18, which means our updated leaderboard shows that title track is sitting in first place right now. Okay, the next song is Drunk Face. I love this one. This one is the one that is literally stuck in my head all day long since hearing it. I did hear a couple snippets on social media before, like some videos he posted, but I never realized, of course, what song it was associated with. And now I know. I really like this one.
I'm still young, wasting my youth. I'll grow up next summer. I'm back on those drugs I quit. I kept my dealer's number.
I gave the lyrics and story a 7, so not awful. However, for memorability, I gave it a 10 because, like I said, it's been stuck in my head. After even the first listen through the whole album, I knew that one was one of my favorites. Like, it stuck with me and stayed with me. So I gave memorability a 10. And then for overall vibe, I also gave it a 9.5. I mean, there's not a lot of negative things to say about this one. Again, I love the chorus. Some memorable moments or notable lyrics that I wrote down were, I'm a Hollywood whore, I don't ask names. So kind of referencing his other song, Hollywood Whore. I thought that was cool. And then just the chorus, I'm still young, wasting my youth. I'll grow up next summer. I'm back on those drugs I quit. I kept my dealer's number. So I also think it's like a catchy chorus. It kind of, you know, alludes to just, I'll grow up sometime. Like, I always say, oh, I'll grow up. Maybe next year I'll grow up. So this one's just fun to me. I love it. So overall, this one gets a 26.5. So when we look at our leaderboard here, that's already putting this one at the top. So next we have Bloody Valentine, which of course we all heard before the album even dropped.
I don't do fake love, but I'll take some from you tonight.
So we've known of this one for a couple months now. So I went in, I re-listened to it, just really focusing on it and wanted to give it a score because I have liked it ever since it came out. So for lyrics and story, I gave it an 8. Memorability, I gave it an 8 because I really did like it when it first came out. I mean, I still like it, but it was one that was stuck in my head a lot. I put it on my workout playlist as a go-to workout song. And so I gave it an 8 for that category, and for total like overall vibe, I gave it a 9 because I just really like this one. It's kind of come to the point where I forgot about it for a while, but when I went back to listen to it, it kind of jogged those memories of why I loved it so much when it first came out. And so this one got a pretty high score too. So if we look at our leaderboard, Drunk Face is still number 1 right now, but Bloody Valentine is up there, rated high too. Okay. This song is one that's been talked about a lot too. This is the next track called Forget Me Too featuring Halsey. So right away going into this one, I had high expectations because I'm a huge Halsey fan. Was supposed to see her in concert, but COVID ruined all of our plans this year. So love Halsey, so I was super excited for the collab. I had high expectations because I like them both as an artist, and so I was kind of afraid, like, oh, what if I don't like it? I gave the lyrics and the storyline an 8.5 out of this one. I gave this one an 8.5. One reason I did that is because I love the songs that have like a male and female voice going back and forth. I like the overall vibe. Halsey kind of compared to her most recent like Manic album, this was definitely like a different sound. You know, she did release Nightmare, which kind of had that angsty voice of hers, but in her most recent album Manic, not so much. So this was fun and a cool change up for her. So I gave this an 8.5, also because the storyline was something I think a lot of people can relate to, kind of hinting at that like toxic relationship going back and forth, like you hate someone but then you come back to them. For memorability, I gave it an 8, of course, because it is catchy. It was stuck in my head a little bit, especially the chorus, just kind of something that is easy to catch on to. And for overall vibe, I gave it an 8 also. I have gone back and listened to it a couple more times, and I probably would have given it a higher score if I made these scorecards today instead of yesterday, but that's okay. It still comes in with a high score of 24.5, so still doing pretty well. For this one, I did note down in my notes that this song specifically gave me a lot of nostalgic vibes. I know some people have kind of compared it to a Paramore song, that kind of vibe, which I loved Paramore growing up. So I totally can see that. I think they make it unique though. So I'm not necessarily saying like any of these songs sound like this band, sound like this band. It's just, it sounds like that genre that I love. For memorable lyrics, I did write permanent calligraphy. I just tattooed your name on me forever. Fuck. So, you know, I like it. It's fun. Decent score. When we look at our leaderboard, it's definitely not the lowest ranked song, but it's not the highest either. So let me know if you like this one. I know not everyone likes Halsey, but I think she killed it on this song. Okay, next one is All I Know featuring Trippie Redd.
All I know is I don't know nothing. All I know is I don't know nothing at all.
So I gave the lyrics and story category a 6 on this one. I did give memorability a 7 because it does have some catchiness in there. Usually the songs that have a feature on it always have an interesting twist, like a good vibe going, which is why for the vibe category, I did give it an 8. Of course, I like the other song they did together, Candy. This one, a lot different, but still liked it, not bad. In my notes, I wrote that the song, I really like the music, the tempo, so overall I really like the sound of the song, the vibe of the song, but the lyrics were just okay. So with memorability at 7 and vibe at an 8, I gave it a score of 21. I did write that this song is one that I feel like you want to just go and think a little bit, or you're just in one of those moods, you can just hop in your car, put this song on, and just kind of drive around, you know, admitting you don't know nothing, according to them. Memorable lyrics, I noted, my life on the outside's fun to them, but the person on the inside is crumbling. You know, again, you never know what someone's going through. Then I also noted the lyric where he said, I gotta go through shit to keep writing. Total score was 21 for that one. Let me know if you like it. And here's our updated leaderboard so far. Let me know if you're surprised at any of these yet or not. Next we have Lonely. I love this song. I love it. I love it. I don't know what else to say about it. It's great. So for lyrics and story, I did give it a 9. Really great lyrics, really great story, talking about his dad passing away, also his aunt passing away. Anything that talks about really hard times and losing loved ones always hits me right in the feels. So for lyrics and story, I did give this one a 9. I also gave memorability a 9 because I knew after I listened to it, I'm like, oh, that's a good one. I'm gonna go back to it. And it's one that stuck out to me. And then for overall vibe, I gave it a 9.5. And so also to note, vibe doesn't necessarily mean like, oh, the song just made me feel great. It made me feel happy. It made me feel like partying. No, it made me feel something. So that's kind of what I mean by vibe. One of those songs, one of those slower songs you put on when maybe you just needed a good cry or a good vent session or something like that. So this one rated pretty high. So that actually moves this one to the top song so far. Let me know how you feel about this song. He's obviously very vulnerable in it. And I do have to note at the end, he includes like a portion and a snippet of his dad speaking. That was a really nice personal touch, and it's cool that he feels open enough to let people into that part of his life. I don't know how you can't like this one, but that's just my opinion, so let me know how you feel about it. Okay, moving on to World War III. Honestly, this is probably one of my least favorites on the album, just from first listen. It is one of those really short ones, but length doesn't necessarily mean anything. But for lyrics and story, I only gave it a 6. For memorability, I gave it a 6, and for overall vibe, I gave it a 7. It's just like really short and intense, and it's cool, like it's a nice addition to the album as a whole, but it wasn't necessarily my favorite by any means. I did write that I don't love this one, but the drums are sick. This one came in at a score of 19, which puts it near the bottom of our leaderboard. All right, next we have the interlude, Kevin and Barracuda. Kevin and Barracuda interlude, of course, featuring Pete Davidson.
I want to be Kevin the alien.
Why was mine such a bad name? Mine was Barracuda.
Pete is hilarious. So his interludes are always funny, but of course, I don't necessarily think they're gonna rate high just because it's like a funny thing. So for this one, I gave the lyrics and story a 5. I gave the memorability a 6, and the overall vibe a 6. I think it is interesting and cool though how they are talking about like aliens and alien names, and then you go into the next song of the track, which is Concert for Aliens. So the way that that's set up to follow in that order, that's really interesting. Next, Concert for Aliens. So of course, we've listened to this one already before the album dropped, but gotta rate it anyway. So I gave the lyrics and story a 7, mostly because even though the lyrics are kind of like silly, it does give you those nostalgic vibes, like those nostalgic pop punk funny lyrics. So I did still rate that pretty high, a 7. For memorability, I gave it a 9.5, mostly because it's called Concert for Aliens, and it's just like something you remember. I love the vibe of it too, and I gave it a 9. So love this one. When it first came out, I was kind of like, I don't know. The more I listen to it, I've grown to like it a lot. So maybe if I first listened to it yesterday when the album came out, then it might not have rated so high, but right now it is one of my favorites. So this one rated pretty high at a 25.5, putting it, you know, up there on the leaderboard, putting it in the top 3 right now. Let me know if you like this one, and let me know if you like the music video. Okay, next we have My Ex's Best Friend featuring Black Bear.
I swear to God, I never fall in love.
Of course, this one has been out too. I'm just gonna come out and say it now. This one is my favorite, so I probably rated it pretty high. Let's check it out. So for lyrics and story, I did only rate it an 8. However, for memorability, I rated it a 10, and for vibe, I rated it a 10 too. So this was one of the ones I reacted to in my past video. The overall vibe, I just really love this one. I love the contrast between MGK and Black Bear. And even though it is a shorter song, it goes by so fast. I just love this one. It's on my gym playlist. The one I'm probably gonna go back and listen to the most. So that is why I rated this one how I did, which put it at a 28. Yeah, I just love this one. So the next song is Jawbreaker, and this is the one I was referring to when I said I saw people on Twitter really liking this one.
Jawbreaker, she tastes like candy, star chaser.
For me, I'm actually not like the biggest fan of it. It's probably not rating too high based on my scoring. So for the lyrics and story, I only rated it a 5. Again, that doesn't mean I don't like it, but it just wasn't the best compared to the others. So I rated it a 5 in that category. For memorability, I rated it a 7. And for vibe, I rated it an 8. So for this one, the highest category was pretty much just like how I vibed with it. Do I like how it sounds, the music, the tempo, things like that. So it's good, but it's just not one of my favorites. Pretty sure he was going to perform this one on the Kelly Clarkson show, so it must be one of his favorites if he wants to perform it. So maybe I'll just have to give it another chance. Okay, now we have Nothing Inside featuring Ian Dior.
I did this all for you. Look
I just want to preface that I love their other song together, Sick and Tired. So I did have some high expectations for this one too. For lyrics and story, I put 8. For memorability, I put 6, and for overall vibe, I put 6.5. Now again, this was just after the first couple listens yesterday. I listened to it again this morning, and it is growing on me. I like the chorus, in my opinion. I like the story too, which is why that category was rated higher, because it's kind of, you know, saying he went through all these things, these hardships, the grind to get to the top, to get where he is, and then the girl looks at him and sees nothing in his eyes. So it's almost like talking about maybe losing yourself and the fame, the success, and things like that. And so overall, I really do like the story and the lyrics. Here's the updated leaderboard right now. We only have a couple more to cover, so we'll see which one ends up on top. So the second to last song is Banyan Tree. I tried to look it up and I tried to clarify that pronunciation, but I couldn't find it, so I apologize. From what I saw, it's maybe like some type of fig tree. I don't know if there's a significance about that type of tree, like with Megan, because Megan, who he's seeing right now, Megan Fox, her voice is featured in this interlude. And so I don't know, maybe it has a significance in their relationship. Maybe it was at one of their filming locations when they were doing the movie together, or maybe it represents something. I'm not super sure. So overall, for the lyrics and story, I did give it a 9 because it was very real and raw. For memorability though, I gave it a 5, and a vibe score, I gave it a 5. So, you know, that's okay for an interlude. I think it's not awful, an awful score. It comes in at a 19 total, but I did note a couple things for this one. I said it was super cute and bold to put Megan's voice on the album, since it will be around forever, and they've only been seeing each other for a little bit of a time. And I put, looking back on it, it could be hard, you know, if they break up. It just could be hard for him or even her to listen to that. And I did note that it was real and raw, where she's like asking, like, do you even remember like things we do together, because you're always so high, or you're drunk, or, you know, using substance or something like that. So that was pretty raw and vulnerable for them to include on that. But it was cute, it was sweet. Okay, now finally we're at the last song, which is Play This When I'm Gone.
I'm not gonna lie and tell you it's alright. It's alright.
I have to say that the tears came in this one. Obviously, or I shouldn't say obviously, if you don't know, this song was written for his daughter, and so that automatically just adds like a heartstrings moment. So that's why I gave the lyrics and story a 10 too. If you read through the lyrics, just really listen to the song, you can tell how much he loves her, and that things might not always be okay, but it's okay to cry. He loves her no matter what, and the reason why he pretty much exists is because of her. Memorability, I gave it a 9 because of that sentimental factor and just the vulnerability of it. And the overall vibe, I gave it a 9. So even though it's kind of one of those ones that are kind of like sad, it's still one of those that evokes like emotion. And it makes you feel emotional, and the vibe is just, even if it's not a happy vibe, it's just an emotional vibe, vulnerable vibe. And so I really like this one. The overall score for it came in at a 28. So when you look at the overall leaderboard, we do have some ties. So remember, this was just based on purely a numerical scoring system that I came up with. So just take it with a grain of salt. But I'm actually gonna look at the leaderboard real quick and kind of tell you which ones I would like put over the other. So let me look at like some of the tiebreakers, for instance. So when we're looking at Play This When I'm Gone and My Ex's Best Friend, they're tied for first place. So based on which song I think is best, lyric-wise, of course, would be Play This When I'm Gone. But when I think of just like the overall vibe, if I want to just listen to one song on this whole album, I'm probably gonna pick My Ex's Best Friend, and I do consider that one probably my top favorite on the album. So I would kind of use that as a tiebreaker and probably put that one technically first place based on which one I like the best overall. And Lonely, My Ex's Best Friend, then Lonely, Drunk Face. Drunk Face is probably another one I'm gonna go to and listen to the most. So if I'm going by which one I'm feeling the most, which one I personally like the most, I would put Drunk Face even over Lonely and play this when I'm gone. But based on the scoring system, this is just where things ended up. I really like Forget Me Too with Halsey. I listened to it again this morning, and I know that one is gonna be one I listen to a lot. Probably one of my top favorites too. Even though based on the scoring system, it's, you know, almost halfway down the list. That doesn't mean it's a bad song or that I don't like it as much as I thought I did. It's just based on some of those key factors, and this is where it fell. Then as you can see at the bottom, some of my least favorites are like the interludes. Kiss Kiss was okay. And by okay, I don't mean that I didn't like it. I like all the songs. They're actually all great. But when I compare them all to each other, this is just how the order came out. So I hope this was kind of like a fun twist on reacting to albums. I know a lot of people just do your regular reaction video, breakdown, maybe line by line of the song, but I figured for this one I would do something a little more fun and just kind of rank my favorite. Let me know which one of these is your favorite, and let me know what you think about the album as a whole. Other than that, that's it for this video. If you like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in my next video.